I got a very interesting question the other day, and it was about defending against covert narcissism. So I'm going to tell you what I told that person. Roughly speaking, I have 4 pieces of advice for when you're dealing with a covert narcissist. When they're in that spectrum, they're fragile, they're vulnerable, they're not confident, and they're actually deeply ashamed of their grandiose fantasies of who they are. They cycle a lot through stages of narcissistic depletion and narcissistic elation, which makes them quite moody. As narcissists go, they're quite grumpy. They're quite prone to being sullen, to having temper tantrums, and to pouting. I'm just giving you the silent treatment. The very, very first and most important thing is to distinguish between who they have told you they are, which is their grandiose but vulnerable core false self. Now, with the classic narcissist, the core false self will be, I'm amazing, I'm brilliant, super high IQ, beautiful, clever, wealthy, powerful, strongest, bestest. Look at me, mummy, I'm bouncing higher on the trampoline. It is an issue of infancy. Whereas with the fragile or vulnerable, the grandiosity is in how much of a victim they are. So they're competing on how much they've suffered. And the narratives that you'll get from them are something along the lines of, nobody has ever suffered in the way that I have. Nobody has suffered more than I have. My suffering is unique. And it's very important that you distinguish the observable patterns of behavior. Because if we get stuck in the diagnostic criteria and trying to figure out, would they meet a clinical diagnosis or not, that's going to be difficult. What we're looking for is objective, rational, observable patterns of behavior that fall along the lines of exploitation, objectification, instrumentalization of other human beings, specifically to extract undue attention and admiration from those same human beings. So look at that behavior and realize that's who the person is. A human being is what they do, not what they say. It's very easy to say that you're a nice, kind, compassionate, loving person, but you've got to look at people's actions and not be naive. The next thing that I said to this person who asked me the question is, you have to draw a boundary inside of your own mind. You have to draw a boundary around this person internally and your relationship with them and say, listen, I am no longer going to be open to you emotionally manipulating me. If you want to talk to me, if you want to tell me something, you must speak to me from authenticity in an adult to adult fashion. I don't want you to twist and turn the stories you're telling me to try to coerce the way I'm going to feel about the story you've told me. Does all of that make sense? You must refuse emotional manipulation. It doesn't matter if this is a person, it could be a system, it could be governance, it could be mainstream media, it could be social media. We have to make a determination as human beings to say, look, I'm here, I'm compassionate, I will listen to you, but you mustn't emotionally manipulate me whilst you are talking to me. That's a hard no. That's a hard boundary no. And it's an excellent one to remember with the vulnerable or covert narcissist, because they rely so heavily on emotional manipulation to get that obedience, to get that submission, to get you to go along with their fantasy narrative of who they are. The third thing that I suggested, and this is a little bit controversial for some people, they find it a hard one, is you need to stop giving this person ammunition. And by ammunition, I mean personal information about your life, telling them what you've really been doing, telling them how you've really been feeling. They're very good, not always, but frequently. The covert narcissist is very good at looking as though they're very empathic, and they will sit and listen to you. So you think, oh my God, they're such a good listener. They're really present. They're really here with me. But what they're doing is they're scanning and mapping you for weak points that they can then use against you later on. So any and all communication with a covert narcissist where you're being authentic and you're being vulnerable and you're telling them how you really feel and what you're really doing in your life is ammunition that they could use against you later. Remember to forgo sincere communication with those people who have shown themselves to be terminally insincere. And the fourth piece of advice that I gave, which can trip some people up as well, is when you're being given the sob story of why this person believes themselves to be, in a grandiose, competitive way, the biggest victim in the room, in a way that their suffering is unique, question that sob story. Now, some people really have suffered, and some people will really trust you and they'll tell you, this is what happened to me. I would say if you struggle to know the difference between somebody genuinely opening up to you and someone who's giving you a sob story to manipulate your emotions, probably what's going on there is a little bit of boundary breakage that most likely, but not always, occurred in childhood or in adolescence, where you were subjected to a kind of emotionally abusive, boundary breaking pattern of communication where you were not allowed to make your own assessments. So some people, they have a little bit of a blind spot here in determining, why would this person be telling me this story? And then they can start, these people, I was one of them, they can start to run on hard rules that don't set them. Like, if somebody has been the victim of something, and sometimes these people are telling the truth, they really were the victim of something, then I owe them boundaryless compassion. As you move through your own therapeutic process, as you move through your own healing, through your own emotional maturation process, you will learn that the offering of empathy and compassion to people is very powerful, but it's also very, very dangerous, like all powerful things are. Be empathic, be compassionate, but you must, at a commensurate level, also be wise and boundaried with whom you offer compassion to. And the compassion and the empathy can never, never be boundaryless. It must be boundaried. We are all adults, unless this person is a child, a small child, in which case, then yes, help them. But if that person is an adult and they're constantly coming back to this sob story to generate feelings of guilt and pity in you, it's highly likely they're trying to coerce your behavior and get you to act as a kind of savior. We need to be clear on our own minds here. It is never healthy for us to act as saviors for other adults. Or, well, you literally can only do that with very, very young children who are in clearly dangerous situations. Outside of that, adults don't really save each other. What I can do is I can sit with you, I can offer you my time, I can offer you my attention, I can offer you compassion, but ultimately it's going to be down to you. I'm now mirroring what you should think when you're speaking to your friends, to family members, workmates, potential lovers, partners. If they need therapy, then they must go to therapy. Nobody is going to heal therapeutically through the unboundaried medium of, let's say, a romantic sexual relationship or a work relationship. It's not the appropriate format. And this person, the other person who is emotionally dysregulated and has that trauma that they're carrying that's affecting them, they really need to experience the boundaried, and I'm going to say it, safe space of the therapeutic relationship. That's where that gets fixed, not amongst friends, not with lovers, and not with family members. You have a right to question people's sob stories, and it's not about questioning whether it's true or false. It's about questioning why they are handing it to you. Remember, psychopaths, criminal psychopaths who've been interviewed in prison, the ones who were caught, some of them very violent people, often said that they would use a sad story or a sob story to a potential victim as a pressure test to see where their boundaries were. keep that in mind. It's pretty serious. Ladies and gents, I hope you found that useful. I have a new course for you if you're looking to overcome narcissistic abuse. It's a complete deprogramming from narcissistic abuse course. It is not fast. It is not easy. It'll take a couple of months to get through if you work consistently. It's step by step. It's very thorough. There's no stone left unturned. This is the most up-to-date information I have to give you, and it's basically what I would give you if I was coaching you one-on-one. That's available from richardgrannon.com now. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.